Mr. President, you are committed to this peace. I am committed to this peace. And together, Mr. President, we will achieve this peace.
In Jerusalem's Knesset, amid thunderous applause, Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump declare an end to a war that consumed 2 years and thousands of lives. As the last hostages return home and Hamas surrenders its arms, Trump hails the end of an age of terror. But behind the celebration, questions linger. Can peace built on exhaustion truly last? In a historic dawn for the Middle East, US President Donald Trump travelled to the Knesset on October 13th, where he met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as Hamas handed over all 20 surviving hostages to Israel. Addressing Israel's parliament alongside President Trump, Netanyahu reaffirmed his commitment to peace.
We welcome you here to thank you for your pivotal leadership in putting forward a proposal that got the backing of almost the entire world. A proposal that brings all our hostages home. A proposal that ends the war by achieving all our objectives. A proposal that opens the door to an historic expansion of peace in our region and beyond our region. And 2 weeks ago, you succeeded in doing something that no one believed was possible. You brought most of the Arab world. You brought most of the world behind your proposal to free the hostages and end the war. I want to thank Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and Ron Dermer for their great contribution to this effort.
Netanyahu praised the US president for helping broker the first phase of a Gaza deal that saw the return of all living Israeli hostages.
Mr. President, you are committed to this peace. I am committed to this peace. And together, Mr. President, we will achieve this peace. My friends, this is only a partial list, but it's enough to affirm what I've said time and again. Donald Trump is the greatest friend that the state of Israel has ever had in the White House.
US President Donald Trump addressed the Knesset on October 13th before departing for Egypt to attend the official signing of the peace deal. Speaking before Israeli lawmakers, Trump said,
"This is not only the end of a war, this is the end of an age of terror and death and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God. It's the start of a grand concord and lasting harmony for Israel and all the nations of what will soon be a truly magnificent region." I believe that so strongly. This is the historic dawn of a new Middle East. I want to express my gratitude to a man of exceptional courage and patriotism, whose partnership did so much to make this momentous day possible. You know who I'm talking about. There's only one, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Bibi, please stand up. It is a good feeling. Isn't that nice to say? You know, I just said the hostage. First time I said the hostages are back. It feels so good to say it. No, and my personality actually is all about stopping wars, and it seems to work.
Trump and his core team, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Envoy Steve Witkoff and Ambassador Mike Huckabee, received huge applause in the parliament ahead of his speech.
But now at last, not only for Israelis, but also for Palestinians and for many others, the long and painful nightmare is finally over. And as the dust settles, the smoke fades, the debris is removed, and the ashes cleaned from the air, the day that breaks on a region transformed, and a beautiful and much brighter future appears suddenly within your reach. This is now a very exciting time for Israel and for the entire Middle East, because all across the Middle East, the forces of chaos, terror, and ruin that have plagued the region for decades now stand weakened, isolated, and totally defeated.
Trump also noted that Netanyahu wasn't the easiest guy to deal with, but that's what makes him great.
And he is not easy, I want to tell you. He's not the easiest guy to deal with, but that's what makes him great. That's what makes him great.
Trump's speech was briefly interrupted by a protest that led to the ejection of lawmakers from the chamber. One of the protesters was swiftly removed, prompting Trump to quip, "That was very efficient," before resuming his remarks. Lawmakers Ayman Odeh and Ofer Kasif were reportedly holding signs that read, "Recognize Palestine."
Everybody loves Steve, and they respect him, and they somehow can relate to him. I've known him for many years, and I've seen it over and over again.
להוציא את חבר הכנסת הזה, להוציא אותו מהאולם, להוציא אותו מיד, החוצה, החוצה, החוצה. להוציא גם את חבר הכנסת כסיף, להוציא את חבר הכנסת כסיף מהאולם, להוציא אותו מיד.
The final 20 surviving hostages were handed over by Hamas to the Red Cross earlier today. The bodies of 28 deceased hostages will also be returned later, while around 1,700 Palestinians detained in Gaza since October 2023, along with 250 serving life sentences, will be released under the agreement. The first phase of the deal, reached between Israel and Hamas last week, includes a ceasefire, the exchange of hostages and prisoners, and the withdrawal of Israeli forces to the Yellow Line in Gaza. Subsequent phases will address Gaza's governance, the future of Hamas, and the reconstruction of the enclave. Reacting to the developments in the Middle East, Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov said on October 13th that Trump's plan to settle the Israeli-Palestinian conflict only dealt with Gaza and was not specific enough on Palestinian statehood.
President Trump has put forward his plan, which we have repeatedly described as the best proposal currently on the negotiating table. Of course, it does not fully resolve the Palestinian issue, but it offers a chance to stop the bloodshed and address the severe humanitarian problems that the population faces as soon as possible. Of course, a long-term settlement of the situation is only possible through the implementation of UN resolutions on the creation of a Palestinian state. We have noted that Donald Trump's peace plan only addresses the Gaza Strip. It mentions statehood, but in rather general terms. These approaches will need to be specified.
Moscow's remarks marked its clearest indication, yet that it views the Trump plan as lacking sufficient detail and scope, though Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov added that Russia hopes all agreements reached between Israel and Hamas under the plan will be implemented. Last week, President Vladimir Putin stated that Russia is ready to support peace efforts, leveraging its contacts with all parties in the region.